This whole gathering is happening right across the country. We're thrilled to be able to host a 24/7 series on business risk and resilience, which is everybody knows now is a hot topic. It's on every management company's agenda. Any board, anybody who's in business now is looking at how do we protect our company from risk. Cyber has become a top of mind agenda item. Most folks would have been aware of it. They're getting some fake emails and things like that, but it goes much deeper. It's broadening the base. It's looking at other ways that hackers can get into a system, and it's really about protecting the most important assets in a business. IT, your information, your customer and supplier information. It's critical that management teams are aware of the risks and also put a plan together that's going to mitigate the impact of those risks on the company.
I think the interesting thing with the cyber resilience and cyber risk is it's new, it's upon us, as we have all seen recently in the news, is making sure that you're not just mitigating, very important. You have to do your pre-breach things, put in all the steps to manage risk, mitigate a cyber breach occurring, but know and be prepared for when it does. That involves not just technical things. It involves managing a crisis, communicating with stakeholders, bringing in your insurance. That whole package of pre and post breach is really what is one of the hot button items.
If you're not doing the latest patches, you're leaving your system potentially vulnerable to hackers who are very quick to exploit vulnerabilities that they find. They're roughly akin to the burglars that walk down a street trying every door. When they find one that's open, they'll try to break in. So if you haven't installed the latest patch, you're the guy with the unlocked door.
Interestingly, human capital is a huge risk now, and if you look again the environment that we're in with IT, the federal government's innovation agenda, it's trying to attract and keep young talent. Getting that talent to work in Canada, live, play in Canada is a huge risk for businesses.
The number one risk always to us is people. Is to lose them to a competitor can be very devastating. And there are other mitigating things that you can do for expensive insurance. When you think about product liability, you can buy insurance. When you think about cyber risk, you can buy insurance. But losing key employees, you can't buy insurance for that. And that can be devastating when an employee walk away. The only mitigating factor that I have against that, that our company have against that, is that making sure employees feel that they are absolutely engaged. That when they make a decision, they're making a decision about their own company. They're making decisions about their own investment. And as a person working in a company, it doesn't feel good about coming to work and wanting to be a part of this group and wanting to stay and spend my career.
Organizations that go through an enterprise risk management process, develop a risk register, are risk aware, know what can disrupt their business, are steps ahead. You never know, an organization will never know what will stop them from being in business, whether it is those, like we recently saw in Toronto, the explosions underground related to hydro. Clearly, an interdependency would be power to the buildings to run all IT networks, keep the business going. A mature and risk-aware organization will have a business continuity plan. It might not be specific for hydro transformer exploding, but it will be, what if we are disrupted from our normal place of work? And those kind of large organizations most likely would have a business continuity plan that they could kick in to continue operations.
So really what we focus on for our clients is managing their risk of impairing capital. The majority of our clients are very entrepreneurial. We do a lot of business with MNP. We have many co-clients. And many entrepreneurs have sold their business and come into a pool of capital and then need to figure out what the next stage is. And what we help them do is manage that risk effectively. And it's a two-step process. One, just because you come into a pool of capital today from selling your business doesn't mean that it's an ideal time to invest that money. So what we help with is an implementation plan to take away some timing risk. And secondly is making sure clients don't make mistakes where they can actually risk permanently impairing capital, because many clients and people that we meet with aren't going to start another business. They've started a business, they've sold it, they don't want to have to do it again. So we need to make sure that we preserve that capital for them and they don't make any mistakes where they can risk impairing capital.
Security is not just a supplier's issue. I mean, security is part of the way you run your company. In the case of physical risk, there's a lot of experience out there in the marketplace of things you should do. So some of our clients, we make the recommendations. They choose not to, for instance, put in cameras in areas near doors that are remote, normally not used by general public, but just put a camera in there, monitor it, pull the data feed back or the image back, timestamp it with sensors or something like that. And some haven't, and then you get a break-in, and some damage is done to the property. And so that's the challenge, is getting them to have some really good practices and the discipline to pursue it. You have to invest in the people inside. So you have to have somebody in your organization, or depending on the size you have, whether it's one individual or a group, that is actually looking at the well-being of your company. Not necessarily doing the work of security, but actually setting up the strategy and providing the necessary investment and support necessary inside the organization to happen. Many times organizations fail to do that. Security is now part and parcel of your checklist. And if you don't have a decision point on something, you should really take a hard look at examine it closely.